just had the best month of your life. And now you can't get off the couch. And somewhere in the back of your head, a thought keeps surfacing that you've been trying not to look at directly. Maybe I don't actually want this. That thought feels like wisdom. It isn't. It's chemistry. And the fact that you can't tell the difference right now is exactly the problem. Here's what nobody told you about dopamine. It's not the reward chemical. That's the myth. Dopamine is the pursuit chemical. It spikes during the chase. Every small win, every sign it's working, every "this might actually happen" moment. Your brain is flooded not because you're succeeding, but because the prediction engine is running at full speed and the outcome is still uncertain. Then you hit the goal, and something happens that feels like it shouldn't happen. Dopamine drops, not to baseline, below baseline. Your brain overshot on the way up, so it corrects by overshooting on the way down. This is measurable. Neuroscientists have tracked it. After a major reward, your dopamine levels go lower than they were before you started pursuing the goal. That's not a character flaw. That's a ledger being balanced. But here's why it destroys people. The drop doesn't feel chemical. It feels personal. You just closed the best deal of your life, and now you're lying on the couch, unable to respond to emails. So your brain does what it always does. It generates a narrative that matches the feeling. Maybe I peaked. Maybe I chose the wrong thing. Maybe I should start something else. None of that is true. All of it is your brain using psychological language to explain a chemical state. You're not having a crisis of purpose. You have a dopamine deficit. But your brain can't say that. So instead, it hands you thoughts that feel like insight and are actually just the shape of the dip. This is why entrepreneurs blow up their businesses right after they start working. The loss of motivation feels like a signal, so they pivot, start something new. The anticipation comes back, dopamine spikes. They feel alive again. 6 months later, the new thing starts working, and the same crash arrives. Because it was never about the business, it was about the chemistry, and they just restarted the cycle. Here's what would have saved me years if someone had said it out loud. The drop has a timeline. It's not permanent. It's not random. Small win, 3 to 5 days of flatness. Massive win, 2 to 3 weeks where everything feels gray and purposeless. During that window, your brain is recalibrating, resetting its prediction model to include the new level. Once the model updates, motivation returns, but it returns for the next goal. You will never feel the same hunger about the thing you already achieved. The excitement was the pursuit. The achievement is just the new floor. Most people don't know the window exists, so they make permanent decisions inside a temporary chemical state. They quit during the dip. They pivot during the reset. They burn down something that was working because the feeling of it working didn't match what they expected. And then there's the second layer. The one almost nobody survives without knowing it's coming. When you hit a new level, your nervous system doesn't just run a dopamine correction, it runs an identity check. Is this consistent with who I am? And if the answer is no, if the new income, the new visibility, the new version of your life doesn't match your internal model of yourself, the friction starts. Not the flatness from the dopamine drop, active friction, anxiety, self-doubt, the urge to spend the money immediately, picking fights, quietly withdrawing from the people who watched you win. 2 forces, at the same time, both telling you to stop. One chemical, one identity, and from the inside, they feel like the same voice. I guess this isn't for me. That thought, in that moment, is the most convincing thought you will ever have. Because it has the full backing of your chemistry and your identity model simultaneously. Every part of your brain is in agreement. That's not wisdom. That's a system doing exactly what it was built to do. Protect the prediction. Return you to familiar. So what do you actually do? Almost nothing. And that's the whole point. You don't make strategic decisions during the dip. You don't evaluate the business model. You don't question the direction. You don't pivot for the dopamine hit. You do the boring version of what was working. 60% output, 70%. You lower the intensity, but you do not stop the motion. Because motion during the dip is what teaches your nervous system that the new level is survivable. Every day you keep operating while feeling flat is a data point your brain collects. And enough data points update the model. The window closes. The recalibration completes. And you're still there. The people who hold new levels aren't the ones who felt great at the top. They're the ones who kept moving when everything in them said stop. Not because they were more motivated, because they understood the timeline and refused to make permanent decisions inside a temporary window. The couch isn't the problem. The thought you're having on the couch is. Now you know what it actually is. Don't let it decide anything.